always on my mind. Drink too much, sign of a good time. Baby, light up, dance in the bright lights. Wanna wake up, I'm feeling alright.
Summer in love, always on my mind. Drink too much, sign of a good time.
Baby, light up, dance in the bright lights. Don't wanna wake up, I'm feeling alright. Summer in love, always on my mind. Drink too much, sign of a good time. Baby, light up, dance in the bright lights. Wanna wake up, I'm feeling alright.
Alrighty, good morning. We're back. How's everyone doing today? I'm expecting stream turnout to be like terrible because I feel like not a lot of people survive 1010. What a fun name for it too, 1010. Notes from the Paragon Outlook. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. I think the topic at hand today is bull market cooked or bull market continuation. I'll give you guys my take. I think there is a couple decently serious concerns, but a lot of the same mechanics that we can continue to write off that we've used the majority of the cycle. So we're going to talk about both. I'm going to give you my opinion, my take, present both sides of the coin. Yeah, that's pretty much what today's stream is going to be about. We're probably not going to do a lot of alts. I know I do usually take a lot of altcoin requests. Every single altcoin chart is going to look the same. You know, your altcoin versus someone else's altcoin, you know, whether it's a meme or fundamental coin or whatever, all the charts are destroyed. All the EMAs are destroyed. All the VWAPs are destroyed. Probably there's probably a couple redeeming ones. So if I cover altcoins at the end, it's just going to be me repeating the same thing for every single altcoin. I think TLDR for alts, they're going to need time, right? And actually TLDR for Bitcoin as well, I think it needs time, right? I think there's going to be a lot of people every single move calling for a bear market and a V-shaped recovery on the timeline based on if we're up 2% of the day or down 2% of the day. If you guys just, you know, if you've been around this entire cycle, the background music's a little loud. It's loud for me. You guys let me know. I'm going to turn it down. I think if you've been around this entire cycle, you guys understand how we bottom. It takes a while. Any type of bottom before macro markup is multi-week, multi-month. They're not quick. So once again, if we're betting on bull market continuation, I think that should be the base case. Okay, let's get into it. So I think I've told you guys a couple times by now, my bull market line in the sand, where I think it's cooked and it's over and the trend is dead and whatever, is when we lose the weekly trend on the CME chart. That's been my line in the sand. I think I've shared that with you guys a couple times. I can't really remember, you know, but I'm pretty sure someone could tell me in chat if you've heard me say this before on the public streams. That's my bull market line in the sand, and that's where we're at right now. Now, the only thing concerning about this is I think there's a lot of traders out there relying on whether it's the 365-day rolling VWAP, the 50-day SMA, the weekly trend on the CME. I think there's a lot of traders looking at the same level, which makes it a little bit difficult, right? Consensus levels have multiple ways of shaking people out, right? One is front running it so they don't get positioned. Two is blowing right through it, so whoever's longing that level gets destroyed. And three is with time, right? Time is the hardest one for people to tackle because they're so confused with the volatility. They're scared to bid. It bounces. They buy into the bounce. It goes back to the entry. Now they're underwater with a bad entry. You know, maybe they DCA down. It bounces again. They buy the top again. These kind of things are very hard for people to manage. So my base case is time right now. I'm still bullish, but let's cover the bearish take first. How about that, right? I'm gonna throw a lot of bullish stuff at you guys. So why don't we get the bearish take out of the way? My bearish take on Bitcoin is that the way that this is traded this entire cycle, let's go up to a higher time frame chart. The way all assets trade, but you know, mainly the way Bitcoin is traded this cycle is it's traded much more like a maturing asset. And what a maturing asset does is find value, auction higher or lower, and eventually when you redistribute enough coins, reset up cost bases, right, and the buyers win, you can go up again, build new value, and we just continue rinsing, repeating this. A lot of, you know, price action nerds would call this the market maker buy model, market maker sell model, right? It's basically markup, find balance, imbalance, balance, imbalance, balance, whatever, so on and so forth. That's what Bitcoin's done this entire cycle. Markup, balance, markup, balance, markup, balance, right? We've done this the entire way. At no point have we had to kind of threaten prior balances, right? At no point have we been like, oh, okay, you know, let's retreat you know, are we sure? We've broken out of this box. We've broken out of this balance. Are we sure we really want to go up? Let's go back and really figure it out, right? Let's go back. Let's take a step back and figure out if we really want to go higher. And that's happened here on Bitcoin, right? This is the first time this entire cycle. However you want to look at this, however you want to slice it. If you want to be a range-bound trader and you want to say, hey, look, this is a deviation and we're really threatening these levels. If you want to be a value trader and you say, hey, this value, this was an expansionary markup, we're coming back into these levels once again. You want to take this entire time frame and use that, you could do that again. At no point in the entire cycle have we had to do this, right? So whether or not this breaks up or breaks down, the elephant in the room is that momentum is being lost, right? Each consolidation and drive has led to a weaker rip. This is the strongest rip we've had this entire cycle. If you guys were around late 2023, early 2024, I think you guys will all agree this was the best the bull market had to offer as far as everyone making money, the market throwing money at you left and right, waking up and longing coins. This is the only version of that we've had this cycle. It doesn't matter about Total 3 or altcoin market cap or ETH BTC or anything like that. This has been the best version of altcoins this entire cycle. The next one was still pretty good, but it wasn't as good, right? We didn't have 10Xs. We had, you know, I'm talking about like, you know, large caps and stuff. We had a couple Xs, right? When we retraced, we almost perfectly retest the prior comp, right? This retrace, really threatening it, right? This has been the kind of the weakest all-time high push. So really strong push, weaker push, weakest push, right? Momentum is being lost as far as the uptrend goes. Even if, you know, let's say we bottom out and push higher, you know, there's a scenario where this next rally is just as weak, or if not weaker, right? Maybe we just come up and take the highs. Maybe we just barely make all-time highs again after so much effort gets put in. And that's your kind of momentum loss argument on a super high time frame basis after a almost 3-year long uptrend, right? 2023 bottom, you know, January, we're almost at 2026, almost 3 years of this uptrend. You're seeing a little bit of momentum loss and a little bit of momentum waning. So from a value argument, from a range bound argument, price action, momentum, and even if you guys like RSI, which I don't often look at, right? You could make the case that each one of these monthly higher highs has been kind of a momentum loss. 3 drives higher, 3 drives lower on momentum. Now the thing with RSI, you can always reset this. We can have the chattest candle of all time and rip RSI up to the 90s. Of course that can happen. But the elephant in the room, definitely, in my opinion, is weaker drives, weaker momentum, and retesting some old values, right? I'm going to drop a little education on you guys. When it comes to trend trading, early in trends, you tend to leave expansion candles, fair value gaps, and single prints. Middle of a trend, you will have SFPs at the lows. You'll have, you know, really nice order block tags. And late in the trend, you are going to have to retest prior lows, right? So what that looks like is this. Expansion, no perfect retest. Expansion, test an order block. Expansion, maybe come back and test the prior lows. This is how you see this momentum loss playing out, right? I don't think we're not here yet. Definitely not there yet. So which is why it can be safe. Now let's flip the coin. Let's talk about all the bullish arguments, right? Why should we be bullish near 100K or even 99K or anything like that, right? Number one, like I already mentioned to you briefly, CME weekly trend. This has been my bull market. Where's all the... There we go. I was like, where the hell did that go? That's been my bull market line in the sand, right? This has capped us at every single inflection point where we were super bearish and there's a lot of FUD. Once again, even if we trade a little bit lower to 99 and 100, I think you should maintain bullishness. Number two, right, locally speaking, is going to be the yearly VWAP, right? I think I've talked to you guys a lot about this, maybe not in the streams, but definitely in the outlooks. We've covered this extensively. Every single attempt at the yearly value area high has been met with large amounts of buying. You can even point to this one right here off the capitulation. This is the first time we've rotated into yearly value, right? So it makes a lot of sense to me to visit the yearly VWAP from a value rotational standpoint. Even if the current drives a little bit higher, it would make sense to me at least one time to test the yearly VWAP before bull market continuation. So I'm going to continue being optimistic down here, right? If we revisit this a third time, if we do something like April of this year, if we do something like summer of last year, and we kind of crab around, test the lows a bunch, I'm going to maintain optimism around 100K, okay? Next thing, I think the worst we can get is a quick wick below 98K, right? I think from a SFP perspective or liquidity perspective, if you guys trade that way, I think that provides your kind of last leg of opportunity, right? Anything kind of below this, acceptance underneath yearly value, acceptance underneath the 365-day rolling VWAP, acceptance against a weekly trend on the CME chart, I think the market's cooked, right? I think you could very clearly say that at that point. Maybe it becomes a large range-bound traders environment at best. At worst, we get a downtrend in a bear market, right? But what would be factual is that the uptrend would be cooked at that point, in my opinion. Okay? So those are my bullish takes for now, right? On the super high time frame basis. I'm sure I can come up with a few more. We're going to move on to kind of some local price action here. So maybe a little bit of sauce for you guys. I don't know how many people watch order books and liquidity, right? The order book, without saying too much, the order book liquidity has been really, really, really thick down here, right? We've seen kind of the same dynamics as far as liquidity, passive resting orders that we did in the April bottom. We have kind of the same dynamics here around the low to mid 100Ks. As we've pushed up, obviously there's gonna be a lot of profit takers. This is kind of like a 10% move in a pretty short amount of time, which is a good amount of volatility for Bitcoin nowadays, right? 8% over 3 days is a pretty solid move, right? As we've pushed up, the kind of liquidity has flipped, right, in favoring the asks, right? So there's a lot of people looking to either short or take profits or sell spots, etc. As we push up into these highs, right? This is also this region that I'm speaking about, 111 to about 113, 114. This is confluent with your daily trend. Excuse me, wrong button. Daily trend, locally speaking, and also your yearly value area high. 112, 113, right? So it's a pretty strong bearish line in the sand, I think, as of this moment, right? So I think breaking, over 113 is going to be tough. I think that would be, if you guys caught the bottom on Friday, Saturday, etc., that would be a good time to take some profits on some longs and not be like, I got the generational long entry, we're going to Valhalla. Even if that's true, I think the EV of that bet is not in your favor, right? You'd be taking the slimmer odds of success, and you would have higher likely odds of round tripping any kind of pico bottom longs that you had. That's where we stand locally. We also left a CME gap. You guys probably heard me talking about CME gaps all year. We've left a CME gap right here at 106.9. Now, I was hopeful last night when the weekly opened that we could get like a quick fill and reversal. We left it behind, right? It doesn't need to get filled today. It doesn't need to get filled tomorrow, but it is a point of objective or point of interest below that we left behind. So statistically speaking, in 2025, I think majority, 99%, I don't know what the actual number is, have been filled. So, keep that in mind. That will likely at some point revisit 106, 107. I don't think we'll leave this one behind. We kind of said the same thing over here. We left the CME gap all the way at 109. We were trading at 126 all-time highs. A lot of people wanted to say, hey, we'll probably never touch that one again. Boom, we took it. So keep that in mind. Let me go back to the notes. I don't think there's anything else I really want to say locally. We're talking about my trading. My trading is going to be swing trading Bitcoin. I'm going to be looking to build swings into this weekly trend, into the 365-day rolling VWAP. Looking for an all-time high push. Everything else is going to be intraday for me. The way that I trade right now is on the 1-minute chart. Anytime you guys see this on my charts, this is what I'm trading. Right? This is where I'm making all my money this year. Nothing else really, accounts for much. Also, last week on the Outlook, I mentioned to you guys. So for any Outlook watchers there, can you guys let me know in chat if you guys are watching the Outlooks? Because honestly, it's been free money in my opinion. Like if you guys just go through the Outlooks every single week, I give you at least one setup, whether it's Cookbook or the Outlooks, right? There's like free setups in there all the time. So last week we mentioned the 2 standard deviation value area low on the monthly VWAP. I think we were trading somewhere in here. I can't remember exactly where we were trading the Outlook, but very clean respect for the 1 standard deviation value area low. We lost it. We bearishly rejected it. That opens up the bias that will probably trade to the 2 standard deviation value area low. We eventually tagged it. We bottomed there, and we're trading back into monthly value at this point. So the most optimistic outlook for continuation right now is holding 109.5. If you're a diagonal line drawer, it's a very clean diagonal line as well. Excuse me, horizontal line. Sorry guys, not sleeping a lot lately. Horizontal line enjoyer. It's a very clean horizontal line at 109 as well, right? So monthly value very low. That would help open up the rotation towards the monthly VWAP. Now, I don't think we're going to make it all the way monthly VWAP. I would assume that we're going to actually run shy of it one more time because of how thick the asks are. You need aggressive buyers to eat through those walls. And that's one dynamic we haven't seen yet, right? So we've seen a lot of people in the passive book showing the intent, like, hey, if you want to sell into us, we'll absorb that selling lower. But not a lot of buyers are chasing and being like, oh, dude, I need this position right now. I'll buy it from you. You know, things are bouncing. I'll buy spot right now, right? We haven't gotten a lot of that, which is why, to me, I think it's going to be pretty difficult to eat through some of these walls without news, without Trump changing his tune, without anything like that happening. My base case assumption is probably going to be putting in a lower high, 112, 113, 114. And then we probably go revisit that CME before trying to make a leg higher. Let me go back to my notes. We talked yearly, monthly, ETH BCC. We can talk about in a minute. Positioning, that was more for Paragon. But yeah, that's about it. So TLDR, weighing the pros and cons. Bearish. This. I guess you could do like monthly. I'm not going to write it because I'm not an RSI guy. 365 rolling VWAP. Daily 200 CME. What else did we mention? Yearly VWAP. Right? Those are my lines in the sand. And then what's likely going to happen, what my base case is. That summarizes pretty much everything I just said. Okay. I'm done with all of that. Let's scroll up. Let me read chat. I didn't even talk to you guys yet. I just ran right into it because I felt like I owed you guys. I didn't stream last week, right? Pays again to be optimistic. I agree, man. You know, there's this like saying in markets that like bulls and bears or like pigs get slaughtered or something. You know, greed slaughters you. But at the same time, in crypto, it just pays to be bullish, man. Mercury says it well. Magus says it well that, you know, bears sound smart, bulls make money. So at the end of the day, I think somewhere along the line, the culture on crypto Twitter really shifted towards like a lot more bears, a lot more pessimism on crypto, which you know, fundamentally maybe you could make some of those arguments, but being pessimistic on Bitcoin does not make sense to me. Being bearish locally and being like, hey, we'll retreat lower, I'll buy coins lower. There's a, you know, cause to be concerned, manage your risk. All of that makes sense to me. But just being like, fuck this industry goes to zero. None of that makes sense to me. Is this a relief bounce or a bottom? So we answered that. We're good. Love the music. Can't remember what I played to start off the stream. If you're interested, I can go back and give you the name of the song. Good morning. Good morning. Daily and 3-day charts are looking terrible for Bitcoin. Well, we covered everything, so you have my take now. What are you, a top or bottom? We're tops, baby. Battlefield 6 clips? Not gonna lie, man, that game has been super fun with friends. I don't know if I'd play Battlefield 6 alone. There's a lot of games I could play by myself, but Battlefield 6, that shit's so much fun with friends. Dentoshi and Doc collab one day. I did a what do you call it? Podcast with her. So if you go on my YouTube channel, there's a section, a playlist. I forgot what my podcast was even called. I had some name for it. I can't remember. But I interviewed a bunch of people. That's actually how I got to know Magus. So, you know, funny story. Like I was in Paragon as a student for a while. And I think I paid for like a 3-month membership. And then after 3 months, I basically, you know, stopped ever opening Paragon because I was like, I absorbed the information. Now it's time for me to go, you know, trade up on my fruition, not be influenced by anyone else. Right. And, I think Charlie just left me in there. Right? He never like kicked me out of the group and he was just like, Doc can hang around. But anyways, I hit up Magus one day. I was like, hey, bro, do you want to do a podcast together? And he was down, and that's how I got to know him. A couple months later, or even actually it was the same day, he asked me to like join Paragon, but I didn't give him an answer for a little while. But yeah, long story. I got so distracted. Yeah, I did a podcast with Dentoshi. I'd love to have her back on the stream. That'd be a lot of fun. Santa hat sniffs, dude. Imagine. 10/10 was World Mental Health Day. Dude, I love the irony. Thank you, Zero. Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Astro. Is it rolling VWAP or anchored? It's rolling. Anchoreds are solid. Anchor to extreme like tops, highs, lows. Those are really good. You know, capitulation lows, especially if you're trying to trade the day of a capitulation. So if you're, you know, you see one of these and you're trying to buy the bottom into this, if you drop an anchored at like the 1 minute lows, it gives you a pretty decent trend following trade bias for the rest of the day until it kind of breaks. Small gap at 116. Check it out. We checked it out. Thank you, man. Outlook has been clutch. Yeah. Thank you. How do you find acceptance when these markets says FU moves? Everyone and their mother said 102 to 100 was in play, and of course we just one candle to 110. I don't know about everyone and their mother saying 100 and 102. For me, it was this. I didn't catch the bottom. I actually wasn't really active on Friday. I had some personal issues going on. But for me, it was pretty simple. I have a value built between 108 and yeah, your level was 102, 108 and 102. For me, I had it marked out like this. This was the comp that we built post-nuke. When we get an expansionary move below that comp, my bias becomes lower. This becomes the absolute must-hold level. For me, when we pushed up into this right here, I said, look, initiation came in from buyers at this candle. If bulls cannot reclaim this, we're going lower. This is where I hedged out some of my spot, right? Got to remove the hedge later. Didn't have any drawdown, didn't have any stress. Didn't catch any of this, didn't buy the bottom. I added some spot a little bit later, not at the bottom. But down here, the bias was lower because we have so many overlapping levels, right? We got the composite value area low at 102. We've got the yearly VWAP and all of that. So I thought that was for sure a case that you could make for 102. I think I was pretty much asleep at this moment. It was 6 a.m. on Friday. I think I was still sleeping before this, you know, as this bottom was being put in. But yeah, I mean, the case for 102 made sense. You know, the way that you spot these in the moment is by being locked in, watching flow, watching Agar, watching the 1 minute charts. That's how you can spot these things in the moment, right? When they're kind of in no man's land. If you're not locked in, you can't just randomly be like, oh yeah, you know, I'm calling bottom, because people just do that. And, you know, some people are right, some people are wrong. When people are wrong, no one remembers. When they're right, they talk about it for weeks. Last few weeks, I've been coming up with my own outlook before watching yours, and that's the way to do it, Nelly. That's 100% the way to do it. So when I was learning from these guys like, you know, Magus, Pierre, whatever, I made it a very strong point. I'm going to absorb the education, right? I'm going to absorb the nuance and discretion that they have to offer, the experience they have to offer, but I am not going to be looking at the trades they take. I'm not going to be looking at their outlooks. I don't care. Right? Because it's the smartest way to grow is you make your own plans for the week, you take your trades, and then you can go backwards and be like, I took these trades, they worked out. Let's see what Magus did. Let's see what Pierre did. Let's see what Charlie did. Let's see what all these other guys did. And however their things turned out, mine turned out, if it was the same, okay, I'm on the right page. Oh, wait, they didn't take that trade. Maybe I can ask them, hey, why didn't you take this trade? This feels like it fits in your system. And they'll give you a piece of advice of like, hey, well, this is what I saw. You might have missed this, right? That's how you learn actively. If you're doing everything by just copy trading people and nonstop, you know, just doubting yourself and too fearful to make your own plans and take your own trades, you're never going to learn. You learn through failure and fuck ups, man. Signed up for Cookbook but never received it. I gotta screenshot this because we've been having a lot of issues. So I'm gonna send this to Bennu quickly. Oh shit, I didn't submit my pictures for cookbook either. Let me know if you have higher res. Crap. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry about that. Okay. You signed up for cookbook. Yeah, so my bad, dude. I think a lot of people have complained about the same thing. I'll try to we'll try to fix that, but I appreciate the feedback. Yeah, good morning, Caleb. Appreciate you stopping by, man. Caleb's a homie, dude. I followed him somewhere either at the top of 2021 or early 2022. I actually want to say it was in 2021. It was still the old bull market. I was still a tourist. I was just starting my trading journey. Caleb was already on it, like friends with these big macro talking heads and stuff like that. I was like, this guy's the shit. I'm a big fan of the way he's living his life too, man. Free spirit, bouncing around, you know, I don't know if you call it backpacking, but moving through Europe and stuff. Putting out good information. Definitely, guys, you know, follow Caleb if you don't already. There's no bull or bear. There's just the right side. The longer outlook, the worse it gets to be bear. What was it again? 3 years average, 1 year down? Yeah, I think so. I think like 3 year uptrends, 1 year downtrend has been like the Bitcoin norm. I de-risked part of my spot portfolio losing the weekly trend. At the top of the weekly, there are too many key levels right now. I was planning to scale in again if we reclaim. How do you approach this? I would scale in at discounts, not reclaims. This is not the... So in a trending market... Let me draw this out for you. In a trending market, right, the best way to play kind of quote-unquote reclaims is like this, right? Let's say you have an up move and we're talking about one of these bearish price legs, right? In these bearish price legs, you're going to have bearish market structure, right? We're amplifying this one in the overall high time frame trend. Either you action at a specific level that you would consider low, maybe you have confluence of an order block here, maybe you have a rogue low from before that you're running. You either action here. The best way to play reclaim is say, okay, we got a market structure break. Right, we took out the high that led to the low on a low time frame bearish market structure. We're pulling back. That's my entry. That's my stop. Right. That's a really good way to play reclaims in the face of like a trend. In a kind of range bound environment, if you're playing reclaims, you have to be aggressive. Is the best way that I've found. Right. A strong reclaim is going to do this. Say this is your range. You're ping ponging. If you get a God candle below and you're saying, hey, I'll buy the reclaim here, the way these reclaims work, if they're strong, is they're going to blast straight through the level. They're not going to give you a perfect retest. They're going to consolidate up here, and they're going to continue. This is the strongest way to play reclaims, right? A reclaim that gives you a kind of perfect retest where it's like, okay, we're back in and we're tagging this level. These fail a lot. These end up failing a lot. So keep that in mind. If you're going to do something like this, you have to keep very tight in validations. Otherwise, I would say, look, if you've got levels below, be a man and try to action those levels below. So let's look at like a really dog shit coin, right? So something like this, an XPL, dog shit, right? Gone down 80% in a month. Where are you going to action this? Are you going to say, hey, we've reclaimed this, we've reclaimed that, we've reclaimed this interim level? I'd say no, just try to, you know, be brave and buy down here if it comes. Don't look at this, you know, 1 hour price action and be like, oh, we've reclaimed this, because this is how people chop themselves the fuck up. And then 6 months later, when they don't have the positioning they want, things went like that, they remember these moments of like, why was I chopping myself up? So if you're gonna buy coins like this, you have to buy with like the intention of like, I'm gonna be able to withstand this volatility. If it goes down 15%, I've got to withstand that. My invalidation is here. Or you just be patient and try to buy the lows, right? Try to buy the ultimate discounts if given. I'm going to try to get caught up with chat because I'm way behind, guys. Similarities with this weekend and September 6th. I don't think there's September 6th yet. I know there's some cases you could be making to say, like, you know, we're going to speed run and we're going to go faster and we're going to be bullish off the lows and we're going to V-shape recover and we're already here and we're already here and we're already here. I don't know, guys. I don't know. If I had to, like, really, like, try to make a you know, comparison, I'd say we're here. We're on the first of the three is what I'd say. Right? We haven't done this one yet, and we haven't done this one yet. We haven't done this one yet, and we haven't done this one yet. That's what I would say. I'd say we're somewhere along the lines of like the first one, just in terms of time. Less structure, more time kind of ideology. Left a CME gap there at 55K. Ouch. We left a lot of CME gaps in the past. In 2025, dynamics have changed a lot with CME gaps. You guys can go through it yourself and see for yourself and see how many filled. What's outlook? It's the... Typically, last week's outlook was longer because I didn't stream, but typically 5-minute short outlooks that I put out on YouTube. They're 5-minute videos. Or what's my outlook today? I don't know what kind of question you're asking. You have to rewind the stream and watch the first like 20 minutes. Well, signed up to Cookbook 2, never got any emails. Okay. I'm going to screenshot this one as well. We need more feedback because something needs to change. We've gotten 100 of these now. You take any swing longs on Bitcoin outside of your intraday stuff? Yeah. So I bought the capitulation, hedged out the highs, bought a little bit of spot this weekend. I didn't buy a lot. This recent buy was very small. I'm pretty exposed to Bitcoin and ETH at the moment. I have spot in both. I'm going to trade around those bags, meaning I'm not just blind holding. Like, oh yeah, everything's going to be okay. I'm just going to blindly hold these bags. If there are reasons for me to hedge out and protect myself so that when the lows come, I'm not thinking about the bags that I'm holding. I'm more being objective in the moment. So, you know, decreasing stress. I'm going to be doing that, right? That's the goal here. I think that the killer swing long that you guys are looking for, the God long, is not here yet. I think even if you caught the pico bottom of this low or the pico bottom of this low, your conviction in that long is going to be tested over the next few weeks. There will be a lot of round trips and you know, unrealized P&L drawdowns and maybe even run this low, right? Like a lot of these things can happen over the next few weeks. I think it's too early to say, bro, you got the God long and it's up only from here. I could be wrong, but like, you know, just based on the way that this cycle is played out, based on the way that I've traded this cycle, my experience with it is that rarely happens. Most of the time, people who think they got the generational long either round trip close to their entry or, you know, time-based capitulate out, or, you know, a lot of stuff tends to happen. What conditions will lead you to another hedge? I think if we traded up here. If we traded up here. I've hedged out twice and I've lowered my cost basis a lot. So the best one that I had was 114.8 last Monday. We got the New York Open push. This candle right here. I hedged out this move. This is the like New York Open candle right here. 9:30 a.m. my time. This is where the hedge was opened. This was where the hedge was closed. I opened another hedge last week, 109. This was my line in the sand. You guys want to know how I trade these things? I talk about it in Paragon, but expansion below 50% retrace. You know, this is where the effort came in. This needs to be defended. That's your bearish line in the sand. If bulls can't reclaim and get back in the comp, it's fucking cooked, right? So I didn't bite on the first one. I actually really was like debating biting on this one. I actually didn't. Because I was thinking there is a possibility that this is just a deviation and I don't want to short into that. I gave it some time. This was, you know, God granted me the second opportunity, and that's the one that I took. I think the daily trend is going to be hard to break. I think the yearly value area high is going to be hard to break. I think the spot asks are fucking thick above here again. You're going to need some active participation. So I think even if you do something like this, it's going to be this area is going to be tough to break. A lot of people are probably looking at these highs. I don't know if they're going to be granted this move. I think what's actually going to happen is something like this. Finally joined your live stream. Welcome. Like the video, your mom's gay. Doc, thank you, but this is the weekly trend, not very important. Can you tell me what coin you're talking about? I thought buying a reclaim would be a good idea. Can you do the example on Bitcoin? Okay. So buying this level on Bitcoin makes a lot of sense. What am I trying to do here? There we go. So I think, who's asking this? Ting. Ting, did you watch the beginning of the stream? If you did and you still have questions, then we can go through it. But if you didn't, I think I pretty much covered it. The TLDR is, in my opinion, this is value region on Bitcoin. Basically, I would say like 106 to 100. Wicks below, like 98 or 99, that's okay. 106 to 100, I think this has to be our bottom. Big Coinbase premium link at the moment compared to Binance. There's been a big Coinbase premium just in general. I know Coinbase charts are like down right now because of the AWS thing. A lot of like, you know, a lot of shit's been affected this morning. But typically Coinbase spot trades at a premium over Binance. Like there used to be edge in that. I don't think there's edge in that anymore. Never signed up for a cookbook and never got one, so that's a match. Sign up for the cookbook, bro. Link in the description. One more down before down only. Is that Rithika's alt account, bro? She cracks me up with those jokes. Keen to try learning spaghetti? Is it free access? Yeah, you can make your own. I think you might need like a paid TradingView subscription, but all you do, you take the Bitcoin chart, you click this to put it on a line, you click the plus button, and you start adding tickers. So you put ETH on here, same percentage scale, and there you go. This is how you start building spaghetti. Click this again. Let's do Sol. Same percentage scale, right? That's how you start building your spaghetti chart. Flushing into one-day VWAP. I don't have the capacity to trade right now on stream. This is what I was looking for. I actually took a trade on ETH this morning, and that was all I got. I got a sweep into ETH, daily VWAP, first test, first test sweep. This was the New York Open flush, right? So this is New York Open, a bunch of crab. We got the flush. This was my long. That's my take profit. That's the only trade that I've taken today. I actually came into the day focusing on Bitcoin. I was like, I'm going to get the Bitcoin VWAP flush, right? Bitcoin was resilient. ETH gave me the tag. That was the one that I took. But yeah, this needs to hold. Let's see what's happening here. Fresh shorts opening. We'll keep it open for you guys to watch. I was looking at the weekly trend on Binance chart. So right here, yeah. This is the Binance chart. There's your weekly trend. How reliable has the weekly trend been though, right? This is the top of the weekly, right? So this is the daily 200. The one at the bottom is 365-day rolling VWAP. So it hasn't been the most reliable. Daily 200 has been traded below several times this cycle. What about alts that were looking good before the nuke and meh right now? Doge, for example. Man, if there's one thing you guys have heard me saying on repeat in 2025 is that I have no fucking conviction in any altcoins. I have traded alts a couple times this year, a couple times very successfully, somewhere in May, June, when we had the May, June rallies. There were some bangers on virtuals, bonk, kind of meh on Sui, bangers on PEPE and Fartcoin. Pretty much since then, I don't think I've made money on alts since then. Like, I've traded alts. I got smacked on 1010. Like, I had altcoin exposure, and I took a big fucking L, just like many people on 1010. But 2025 has been the Doc fucking European scalper arc. That's where all the money's being made. Scalping and also Bitcoin, like, positional trading. My Bitcoin positional trading has been fantastic. Like, I don't shill my trades publicly anymore, man. Here's the thing, guys. You know, I can just say this to you and you can believe me, or I can post it on CT and look like an asshole or what, a clown being like, I bought the bottom here and then I sold the top here and then I bought the bottom here and then I sold the top here and then I bought the bottom here again, which is literally fucking true, right? I did the same thing in April, bought the bottom here, sold the top here, bought the bottom here, sold into here, right? I've done this on Bitcoin all year. I have the execution errors to prove it. I just don't shill it on Twitter because, like, I'm at the stage in my journey where I started to think all this is cringe. Like, early in your journey, you're like super happy. You're like, oh shit, like this is fucking dope. I did something super cool. Other people brag about this stuff. I should brag about it too. And then the longer and longer and longer you're here, the more you're just like, dude, this is what you're meant to do. Like, what am I looking for? Anyways, moving on from that. Charlie shared this. Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate that, man. Spaghetti must be shared more freely. This must be the new alpha inside Paragon. I don't think it's new alpha. I think Spaghetti's been around forever, man. Charlie's a master at it, though. Like, I've tried to learn from Charlie, and even I can't do it. It's like he's like a whiz kid. He like sees the 1 second time frame, and he could watch an altcoin in real time, drifting away from the pack, open up the charts, look for setups, and be like, this one's got the relative strength. This is the one that I'm going to long. Just in the moment, boom, I made game plans on this coin. He just, like, it blows my mind because he's been doing it for years now, right? So, like, that is his edge in the market. I've never seen anyone do it like him. I think nowadays, like, people like class of 2017, class of 2021 have a lot of respect for Charlie. Class of 2025 does not give Charlie the respect that he deserves, man. They just don't know. Scalping makes so much sense when you finally learn it. Yeah. If Magus was in chat, thank God he's on vacation, he would be like, it's not scalping. Scalping means you have to hold a position for 1 minute and 10 minutes, and anything over that is called a day trade. Okay, I gotta send Bennu some charts. Okay, let's send him some charts. Bennu's cooking the cookbook right now for us as I'm streaming. That's on me for not being prepared. Whoops. You guys are watching me do this in real time. Okay, so let's do the weekly. There we go. Capture. Send. See me daily. Look, I think we reject 15 on the first person. Fill in see me. Okay. Boom, done. Thank you. Thoughts on Solana? Let's take a look at Solana. I personally have not looked at Solana, I don't think since 1010, since the nuke. Let's see. Okay. So I haven't really cared about Solana since here. I was a Giga Solana bull for, you know, the majority of this. I had one little hiccup, which if you guys want to hear a lot of details about, it's in my 2023 yearly review. You guys watch that and you listen to some of the mistakes that I made with Solana and ETH and stuff like that. But basically, you know, with the exception of a little bit of this, fully rode Sol from the bottom to the top. I did make one attempt earlier this year to pick up some Sol positioning, and then I just kind of abandoned that idea. But my bias or my take on Sol was like, it kind of set out what it needed to do, right? What it needed to do was get the revenge trade from getting overburned by FTX. It made new all-time highs. And then the whole Solana thesis this cycle has been the, you know, meme coins and meme coins and meme coins. That's essentially what it's turned into, right? There's a bunch of really good tech on Sol. I'm not going to discount that, but that's what it turned. It was in the meme coin chain, right? And when Trump launched a meme coin, for me, that was like, that's probably it on Sol. Like, I don't think it's going to trade that well again. I also remember telling you guys when this happened that the most disappointing thing for me on Solana was that it spent 8 or 9 months accumulating right here just for a microscopic push to all-time highs. Perfectly retested the comp, did not build any value higher. So if you guys remember the beginning of the stream, I talked to you guys about value building, right? You always want to try to build value higher, especially when you spend 8 months in a place. When Sol immediately comes and retests this, to me, I'm like, yeah, maybe that's a trade opportunity, which it was, but that's probably it. And what has Sol done since then? It's pretty much just been range bound, right? So when trends are cooked, things turn into big ranges, and that's the way I see Sol on high time frame. I think you can make the argument. You can make the argument if you want about the weekly trend right here, where we're at. But to me, this just looks like another like range bound trade. We went from the lows to the highs. We failed to hold above range highs. We dropped back into range. You know, I think Sol's going to need some work, and the best thing we could do at this point is spend some time chopping it up before we make another attempt for a push. It's the best we could do, because I don't think this looks fantastic. I think ETH looks a lot better. Like, if we want to bet on some non-Bitcoin coin, I would say this gives you a better chance, right? 4 years of 4K at resistance. 4 years, weekly resistance, right? Weekly demand, weekly trend. Trying to bottom at yearly value area high, right? So all of these confluence signals, as well as, last but not least, one of the only coins in the market, I think, that has a chance of continuing its uptrend against Bitcoin. Right? This is a 2-year-long weekly ETH BTC downtrend with lower highs and lower lows underneath the weekly trend, all of that. This is a fresh, bullish, weekly market structure, right? This is retracing back into weekly demand, weekly trend, 365-day rolling VWAP. I think also yearly value area high, right? So spending time below value, rotated into value, rejected by yearly VWAP, held the value area low, traded the opposite side, held outside the value area highs. We're retracing back into this. So what we'd want to see is ETH BTC be bullish from here. The one thing that's stopping ETH BTC is the daily trend. Let's remove this so it makes it really clear. Daily trend is bullying price right now. So while we did have a good bounce, it's being rejected by the daily trend, right? So what we want to see ETH BTC do is hold the weekly and break the daily. In this environment, with the way that ETH USD looks and the way ETH BTC looks, I think there's pretty probable cause for higher highs or new all-time highs on ETH, or at least a big push on ETH. Let me give you another take on Sol in a different fashion. Sol ETH. I don't see a redeeming quality on this chart. Not one. I don't see one redeeming thing for Sol ETH. And we've been talking about this for a long time. I was even legitimately back here somewhere bearish, and it took a long time to see this play out, but I was like, this looks like momentum loss to me playing out. And it took months to play out, and it eventually did. But yeah, I mean, for me, this just looked like a bearish retest. A lot of people were bullish here. I said, hey, look, this is a weekly trend. This has carried you for 2 market cycles. Let me show you more data. More data. Let's turn off the rolling. Unbelievable, picture perfect respect for the weekly. Highs, resistance, support, resistance, weekly trend. Doesn't get cleaner than that. So yeah, I don't think, like, if you wanted to bet on Sol versus ETH at this point, like, maybe they'll both go up, but I think ETH just looks so much better than Sol. Price dropping while you have live, what the hell? When is the Charlie PvP stream? Dude, we need to talk about it. I think Charlie's been busy. He's actually leaving town or something soon, like in a couple days. I think he's going, he's doing something with his family, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe when he gets back. I want to do it though. I'm down. Like, I have my 5 Sol wallet, which it was 7 Sol a couple weeks ago. It's down to 5, or it's down like 4.5. I lost some money trading the Sol shitcoins. And I bought something recently. I saw this thing. What was it? Let me see if I can find it. All right. I got to figure out how to connect telemetry to my desktop, because it's connected on my laptop. I'm not streaming on my laptop. They updated the security recently, and it signed me out of my desktop, and I haven't signed back in. I've just been signed in on my laptop. Let's see how this coin is doing. Probably put in a local top. Let's see. How do I find this? Well, I'll show you guys in a minute. But anyways, I'm not trying to shill you guys low caps. Don't pump my bags. If I'm making money on chain, it's going to be because of my merit, not because people are copy trading me and pumping the coin prices. It's a really low cap, so we're going to stay away from it, actually. Charlie's goated? Indeed, dude. Indeed. Cookbook URL keeps timing out for me. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm constantly screenshotting these and sending them because we're having an issue, and now it's becoming apparent. I wish people would told us before. What do you think? Can we do ETH? We did ETH. Okay. What do you think of when people say Bitcoin Euro hasn't broken out of range since Jan? I mean, I don't really know. We can look at it, but I have 0 takes. Is this it? Oh, look at that. Looks terrible. Looks dog shit. I don't know, dude. I don't have any takes on Bitcoin Euro. Like, if this was the chart that I would be trading, I'd be like, damn, that looks bad. But I would say this. I'd be like, dude, we're coming back down to range lows soon enough. That's what I would say. If you're good with spaghetti, that's your ADHCs. Dude, I can't do it, man. I have spaghetti on here. This is something I used to use a lot. I used to use spaghetti a lot when I traded altcoins back in 2023, early 2024. And this thing, honestly, gets no screen time, like 0. Maybe I'll open it once in a while. It's completely outdated. I'm probably missing tickers on here. I still have a poo on here. That shows you how long it's been since I've used spaghetti. I haven't traded a poo since The election. I think it was like a couple days before the election, the U.S. election. So early November is when I full stack sold my APU into PEPE. So November of last year. It's almost been a year pretty much since Spaghetti's been relevant. Let's just get this off here. Let's get Floki off here too. Who cares? What's your current cash, Bitcoin, ETH, alt portfolio? Just for context, 80%. Okay, so for anyone who watched my 2024 yearly review, that video is on YouTube, public for you guys too. I took 70%, I think was the exact number, 70% of my total portfolio to cash to the bank at that time. I ended up taking more cash to the bank in January, and then I took more cash to the bank in July of this year. So I have been off-ramping aggressively. Whatever's remaining in crypto, I don't know what the percentage is stacked now compared to my total capital, but a lot of stuff is just sitting in the bank. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I don't know if I'm going to diversify into TradFi. I don't know if I'm going to, put it in money markets. I don't know if I'm going to buy real estate. I don't know what I'm going to do with that money yet. So let's not worry about that. The money that I have in crypto right now is 50% exposed to Bitcoin and ETH and 50% in stables. Of those 50% of stables, 25% is in my active trading account because I am highly focused right now on sizing up intraday trading. I think I've had success now for over a year, consistent success trading intraday. I've been trying to push harder instead of taking one trade a day to taking multiple. I am transitioning from like an intraday day trader of like, hey, let me get this one perfect trade to now let me take multiple trades. Let me just lock in and scalp around this position for multiple hours and then call it a night. I think I tweeted something on CT last night about that. It took like 3 trades on Bitcoin last night on Sunday. But I'm really trying to push more size, so want a little bit more capital in that account. I've been asking for the Charlie stream since March. I know, dude. I know. We need to do it. Like, look, like, there's no... Me, I want to do it. Charlie wants to do it. It's just both of us forget. Like, you remind me right now, and then so many things are happening during the week. Trading and all of this, like, I just forget. It's nothing, like... You're absolutely right. Let me hit up Charlie right now. I'm going to DM him right this second. Cookbook not working? Damn. AEWS down could be why people are experiencing troubles. That's very true. So you're mainly cash. Is that because you think the market is too frothy? No, that's because a lot of my trades hit thesis completion. I had a PEPE trade. That was my golden goose this cycle. That was the highest conviction, most money, highest size, everything, right? It made me the most money this cycle, right? I compounded that trade for 2 years. I probably have to do a video on this. So I never talk dollar amounts with anyone, really. And I recently told, who did I tell? I told the whole cookbook team. I told Mag, Charlie, and Mercury. I don't think Stoic was on the call. What I actually made on the PEPE trade. And they're like, bro, why don't you tell people about this? Like, tell the story. So I may make a video one day just outlining every part of that story, from building the thesis to all the FUD that we experienced to, self-doubt to positioning to system to de-risking to compounding to taxes, everything. I may cover everything in one video. I think I've talked about that before. So yeah, so when PEPE got to here, I'm going to talk about Solana too. I'll talk about other trades too. 1.4 or 1.39 or something like that. This is where PEPE flips SHIB in market cap rankings. This was my target. This was my target from all the way down here when this trade originated. We got within 40% of flipping. Right? For me, this is like the evolving R didn't make sense anymore. I really wanted to hold out. I really wanted to be like the guy that's like, I told you so. It flipped SHIB. I told you for 2 years. But for me at this point, I'm like, I'm moving. I'm buying a new house. I'm moving across the country. I want to start a family. I want to do all these things. I need cash. I need to protect myself. I made a lot of money. I'm cashing out. That was the decision that I made. And since then, I haven't had a thesis like that. I haven't had anything that made me go, I'm willing to take the risk. I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to put my balls on the line. This is what I want to buy. This is what I want to hold. I haven't had one of those. Did I miss Hyperliquid? Yes. Should I have bet at $9? Probably. to me, it's just a perp dex. Like, I didn't get it. And I'm mid-curving it. I fully, you guys can roast me for that. I didn't get it. I was just like, dude, I'm trading on such, I don't care. Like, we've had perp dexes, we had GMX, we had all this. I just don't get it. And I clearly got that wrong. But anyways, long story short, between PEPE, I told you about Solana. That was the other big high conviction, high sized bag. I've had several trades through the cycle that I've compounded, Caspa, Render, a little bit on Fartcoin, some shit coins. Like, I've had so many spot bags. If I look at my CoinGecko account where I try to track, I've owned from a spot swing perspective 50 coins this cycle. Each of those, I think 4 out of the 50 were L's, but the other ones were wins. And they all compounded into PEPE and more Solana and more PEPE and more Solana. And I was like, dude, I'm done. Like, these trades are done until I find a high conviction trade. I don't know what to put my money in. And if I miss stuff, I'm going to miss stuff. And I've been on record in the stream saying that. I think I've said it on the public streams. I've definitely said it on the Paragon streams to the homies so many times. Like, if I miss upside because I'm, whatever, I'm going to live with that. Will I feel bad that Bitcoin went to 180 and altcoins did a 10x? Probably. But there's nothing that I can full stack my shit into at this moment that's going to make me be like, sleep comfortably and all that. I just don't have it. Do the PEPE video. We'll do that. Doc, people out here buying nickels. Dude, I saw that post. That was too funny. Once in a year thesis. Yeah. I mean, look, what I want to buy right now is I want more Bitcoin. I am a Bitcoiner. I want to stack BTC. My BTC exposure, the long-term exposure, I don't consider it part of my net worth. I don't consider it part of my portfolio. It's just cold storage, long-term BTC. It is so small now that it's embarrassing, and I want to add to it. And what I've been doing, so I did this year at the April lows. I bought BTC in the 70s twice. And both times I bought them with the intention, like, I'm going to put this in the cold storage stack. And this one bounced within 48 hours. Like, huge. And I looked at this and I was like, dude, this is this is a rejection. Like, we're going back down. So I sold it. So instead of moving it to cold storage, I was like, I'm selling it. Like, it's going to go back down. I got to buy Bitcoin again. I did one purchase in here that went underwater. I doubled down. This is the tweet that I made. I was like, guys, I had my invalidation here and I broke the rules because I really, really, really believed that was going to be a bottom. So I went underwater, and instead of cutting or doing anything or riding the volatility, I actually added. And it looked like a hero trade in hindsight. But again, I started selling my BTC in here. So both times that I intended on being like, this is the cold storage stack, I ended up trading it. So that, probably doesn't feel good because we went a lot higher. And I've done the same thing in here. I've traded BTC several times from a swing perspective in here. And none of the times have I committed to the cold storage stack. So long story short, I want to buy more Bitcoin. I've just felt a little bit uncomfortable committing 100K Bitcoin to the cold storage stack. And, time will tell how that ages. Maybe that ages very poorly. Maybe that ages great and I get to buy it again lower. Who knows? Time will tell. You always see people 100x or 0x their conviction plays, but you don't see their struggle that comes with holding and seeing your thesis could still play out given new information. But you don't see the struggle that comes with holding and seeing your thesis could still play out. Yeah, I think I could cover it. I think it'd be a fun educational video. The thing is, I'm not going to frame it. I'll tell you guys the numbers and everything like that. I'm not going to frame it as a clout video. I think I'll just frame it more as this is what I experienced. So the next time that you guys have a balls deep conviction play, look for these things, and maybe these are the ways you can manage your risk, because there were several times PEPE went down fucking 70% or more, right? And I was not going to give those gains back to the market. I knew those were going to cause taxable events. I knew that, but I was like, there's opportunity here for me to compound a lot lower. My levels are busted, right? I know this is going to draw down, so I'm locking this in. Can you talk about your Sunday trades? I looked at the executions, but I couldn't find the triggers. There weren't. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So I've been trying to figure out a way to kind of explain intuition for some of these trades. the TLDR is going to be for these things, right? It's all going to come down to flow mechanics of momentum loss, levels that you're looking for, and confluence with low time frame, high time frame. So the first entry that I took was, I believe, right here. And the reason it was right here is because this is where, like, I woke up. I don't remember what time I woke up on Sunday. It was late. It was like 7:30, 8 o'clock or something like that is when I woke up. And we were already, like, grinding down. And I was just watching this, and I was like, if I get a VWAP tag, I'm gonna buy it. And then I also understood that, like, people that don't use VWAPs and are just using common support resistance levels, and we're getting shorts mega closing at the lows. So shorts closing often lead to momentum, right? If bulls latch on. So now I'm just watching the flows. I'm like, what's happening here? And I go, yeah, there's a little bit of positional closing. Yeah, there's a little bit of spot selling. It's nothing too dramatic. And the idea was, when we get these stablecoin Saturdays, they often lead to volatile Sundays, right? So if we get a stablecoin Saturday and we go into Sunday and we start getting an injection of volatility, we're looking to play that momentum. So we got momentum to the upside, so I'm looking for upside continuation. We're starting to see momentum loss. Anyone who's trying to buy, you know, the last support level, or they're doing, you know, basic stuff like this and saying support resistance, if we're strong, we're going to front run. When I start seeing momentum petering out here, I take a stab and I'm like, I'm longing, right? We push up to the highs, I take profits. I took profits here, 50%, and on this wick, 50%. And then where did I compound? I forgot where my compounding execution was. Oh, it was right here. So now we've flipped from trading within value to trading outside of value, right? We're hugging 2 standard deviation value area high. We're retracing to 1 standard deviation. 2 standard deviation value area high, retracing 1 standard deviation. This is where I can compound. This is where I longed again. We pushed up towards the highs. I already know that there is very significant resistance here. We've got the 109 equal highs, right? So everyone's looking at these 109 equal highs. These right here. What do consensus levels do, right? They get front run or blown past. So we were front running, so I played the front run. We sold off into the new day, and I was pretty much called it a day here. It was already 8 p.m. or something like that. I was playing video game. I was playing Battlefield 6 with my my 2 close friends. So they don't watch my streams, but hey, shout out to you guys if you're watching. That was pretty much it. Those are the trades that I took. Pretty simple thesis, but you know, like, how do you get the confidence to do this? Chart time is one that everyone's going to tell you, but it's time and trade. You have to click the buttons. You have to click the buttons because you're going to come to a point where you're like, I think this is going to happen. And then it's going to happen. And you're going to be like, oh, damn, dude, I knew that was going to happen. I knew it. I felt it. I had a feeling, right? And you go through that process 2, 3, 4 times. Actually, that's low. 20, 50, 100 times before you're like, dude, if my hit rate is this good on like these mental ideas, why am I not trading them? Why am I waiting for these once a day perfect triggers when I know that these things can happen? So this is something that I've been doing for 6 months now. I don't really talk about it with people because I'm just building it. And over the last, I'd say 4 months, things have gotten clean with the intraday executions. Let me show you an example. I think I screenshot. This was like last week before the capitulation. I think I took a screenshot. Let's see. All right. How do I put this on stream? I have to put it on my laptop. Phone to laptop to desktop is the way, dude. Holy. No valid data on clipboard. What does that mean? All right, if I can't figure this out in 30 seconds, just fuck it. I'm not gonna waste time on this. Just showing you guys a picture. Couldn't paste. No valid data on clipboard. What the fuck does that mean? Whatever, man. I'll give it one more try. Copy. Paste. Couldn't paste. The image being pasted is way too large. Yeah, just fuck it. Just fuck it. Who cares? Did you watch Miles' latest video? I thought it was a very good macro outlook. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't watch anyone's videos. And that's been true for a very long time. I don't care about people's opinions. I don't care how respected they are, how good they are at navigating the market. Their opinions don't matter to me. All they are noise to distract me from doing what I want to do. My biggest complaint, you guys will see this in the 2025 video when I talk about it publicly. The biggest mistake I made this year was being influenced, and it happened to me one time this year, and it cost me. And it's something that doesn't happen to me often, but I did get influenced and deviated from my own game plans, and that was ended up being my biggest L of the year. So yeah, it's just a detriment to me. I don't care about other people's opinions. Order book starting to look better right now. Let me open it up. So what we have the 10% depth on our side from, you know, the 10% depth on the bid side on the spot books mirrors the April bottom, or at least it did in the low mid 100s. As we're up here at 110, it's not. No, we're still very heavy on the ask. Very, very heavy on the ask, both for the 2.5 and 5. You got to take so many L's before you finally get a win. Honestly, I think going from being a consistent loser to be a break-even trader is not that hard, because all it is a discipline check. Going from being a break-even trader to a profitable trader, that is something that a lot of people can't do because they don't know how to do it. And what I tell people is just solve for the one thing that's winning, right? Everyone's got one arrow in their quiver that is working better than the rest. But it's their desire to use all of their tools and all of the lessons they're learning and all of the analysis and all of the setups. Their desire to do that all is what's holding them back. So it's a give and take, right? Because if you do them all, you're gonna get better at everything little by little by little, right? Think of it this way: it's like create a character in any MMO or RPG or anything like that, right? When you get a level, you start at level 1. When you get to level 2, they give you a skill point. And then like you can put it in strength, you can put it in endurance, you can put it in agility, you can put it in, I don't know, whatever. Like all of these, you know, magic, right? You can decide to put the skill point here or whatever. As you're leveling, what do you guys do in video games? You go, I'm going to pick these two, right? I'm going to do strength and mobility. I'm going to be the fastest and strongest guy. And everything else can lag behind. That's what you're supposed to do in video games. And you get items and you build around it and you make a character with a certain skill set that's really good at a few things, and you deal with those weaknesses, and then you work in that fashion. What people do in trading, the wrong thing that they do is they do this. They try everything. They put one skill point in everything. How is that going to make you like you need something to get over here in order to be profitable. So if you just stack all your chips in one thing and ignore everything else, eventually you just go, hey, this thing's fucking solid for me. I'm only gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this. And if you only do this one thing, the P&L curve starts going from this, because the winners are coming from this thing and the losers are coming from these. You just start going like this. And yes, the winning trade is gonna get you some L's too, but eventually you start doing this instead. That's my one piece of advice to anyone who is stuck in break even. And I've made this thread on CT, so I'm not sharing anything I haven't already shared. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna grab a sip of water. I'll be back in like 2 seconds. Give me 1 second. I've been yapping. gotta take so many L's. But that one time you see you're set up and don't pull the trigger, you miss out on gains, and then you chase and get wrecked. Yeah. You gotta have the discipline. See, the thing is, entries are scary, guys. Good entries are always gonna make you feel a little nervous. And let's say this is your line, and you want to long this, and you long, and you get a little underwater, and your invalidation is here. Bro, what are you doing? You're stressing the fuck out. Who's not? Everyone is, right? Especially early on. And then you go, no, this looks like shit. This Bitcoin looks like shit. Everything looks like shit. Fuck this. I'm not touching it. Right? And you cut it. And then it bounces. And you're like, fuck. Okay, whatever. We're good, right? We have this, we have that, whatever. And it pulls back and you take another entry, right? And then maybe it goes up a little bit and then it comes back to, like, all of this is what you have to learn. This entry execution, all the mental things that happen with it. I've probably, more than any other topic that I've ever talked about while streaming, I've talked about this. I have countless rants talking about entry execution and the discipline that it requires to sit on your hands after getting your entries and actually be able to action at the levels. Not do this and be like, I don't want to fucking touch it, and then it bounces, then you buy. And guess what? Now your RR is dog shit because instead of this, right? Now your RR is this. Just with that one move. You learn these things through experience, though. Tips on how to cure long-term heartburn and GERD. Do you drink? Are you overweight? How old are you? Depending on those things, you know, get you hooked up. Simple things for GERD. If it's, you know, uncontrollable, don't lay down after eating. Sleep with your head raised if you get it at night when you're sleeping. Right? Put an extra pillow under your head. Sleep on your back. Avoid spicy foods. Avoid alcohol. Lose some weight. Those are the at-home things without taking like antacids and stuff. Increase your stomach acid. That's the opposite of what you want to do. Then you start gaining confidence and realize you gotta wait and start becoming consistent. Yeah. What was it that caused you this? Go into details, please. I forgot what I was talking about. Remind me. Offer. FWOG got us good. Oh, it got me good. I round tripped a lot of money on that. You know, now that enough time's passed, I'm gonna let you guys in on a little spice. When FWOG was happening, I got invited into the whale chat on CT. Someone just added me in it, and it was all the FWOG whales. And they were like, we're gonna get listed on Binance and Bybit and everything like that. So everyone started donating money to pay for the listings. Now you guys all know that the listings cost money. Like Binance charges you money for listings. And it was something crazy. I think it was like 400,000. They wanted, no. I think they wanted 300,000 in FWOG coins and then 300,000 USDT. That's what they wanted. That was their listing cost. So bunch of the FWOG whales donated their FWOG. They donated $300,000 of FWOG, and then they wanted the USD. And I got invited in there, and they're like, "You want to? Everyone's donating 5K. You want to donate 5K?" I was like, "I fucking take 5K. You know, you want to get it listed? Sure. Here's 5K." They never got it listed. They rugged us. I don't know where my 5K is. I just lost. Not only did I round trip money on FWOG because I loved that coin and I believed in it and I wanted to see the thesis out. And my invalidation was literally 0 when I bought it. I bought it pretty early. Like it ran up multiple X's. And my invalidation was 0, and I wanted to see it play out. And I thought it was, you know, one of the premier meme coins, and it would do really well. And I didn't want to sell it around, you know, 100 million or 200 million or whatever it got to. And I lost 5K on top for the listing cost. So FWOG whales, you guys owe me money. What do you check? Order books. Kiyotaka is free. You can use what I've been using right now is Market Money Terminal. Not a paid shill or anything like that. I've just been using their terminal. It's a paid service. You got to pay for it, but it's better than Kiyotaka. Kiyotaka's free though. You only look at spot order book depth? Yeah, I don't care about, dude. Perp. What do you call it? Perp liquidity tracking is so much spoofing. There's like Binance assholes out there just constantly pushing the book in one way. They've got tons of money and they just drop 1,000 Bitcoin orders all over the place and bully the book around. Like, if you want to play their game and be like, oh yeah, you know, we've got enough demand, we're gonna push through and eat through these orders, or he's gonna pull the orders, you can play that game. But for me, I've found it difficult to find edge trading around when they're gonna bully the book, when they're gonna pull the orders. I feel like it's more hot potato. I think there's really good traders out there that can see those things. They just know. I don't have that edge. Maybe that's an edge that I can develop and talk to some people about learning. But for me, the thing that I've found very consistent is just spot order book tracking. Leary should clip that. I'm sure it was the rant on the video game thing. I think he's clipped that before, to be honest. That's not the first time I mentioned it. I think he's clipped that before. What was the comment that caused you to deviate from your plan? Can we analyze this together? It was just trading more alts, really. I knew that I didn't want to, and I just got influenced. It wasn't by any particular person. It was just, you know, I got some alt exposure going into 1010. And I thought, you know, alts are down pretty fucking bad. Everything is so goddamn cheap in my mind. Down 70%, 80%, whatever. Athena coming to a weekly level. XRP holding the weekly trend and all of that. And I looked at myself and I was like, dude, I can afford to trade some alts right now. I've been sitting on cash. Let me do this. And boom, like fucking 12 days later, you get the worst liquidation event in crypto history. So I could have avoided all of that. I would have taken L's on Bitcoin because I did take 2 L's that Friday. I took 2 back-to-back stops during this drawdown. Where was the first one was somewhere in here at the 118s, and the second one was down here at 116. I took 2 L's. Or actually, no. I take that back. 118 I didn't long. I longed 116 and like 113. That was like the flat monthly open level. It was somewhere in here before the capitulation candle came. Played by Binance, yup. Do you know anyone that had the craziest downfall in their trading career, losing a ton of money, then coming back, making it all back and more? Tons, man. Tons. There's so many stories. So many stories. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Super Chillin' has the best. Magus brought him on to Paragon stream somewhere in late 2023 or early 2024. I can't remember. But he was like down, I think his actual number, kind of remember him talking about this. What is FTM called? They rebranded, right? Am I wrong? Didn't FTM rebrand? Anyone know? Migrate is Sonic. Okay, so it's Sonic. But how do I get the full Sonic chart? I need the full chart. So I think Super Chillin' was down to $2,000 if I'm not mistaken. I think he like lost a bunch. $2,000. And I think his big high conviction trade was somewhere in January, December 2022. January 2023, December 2022. And if I'm not mistaken, within 6 months, like by the middle of the year, like his first giga long trade, and he was like compounding it the fuck up, was FTM. And if I'm not mistaken, within 6 months, he was at 2 million. So 2K to 2 million in 6 months. Sonic, yeah. Thank you guys. Magus has a great story. He got hit by COVID. He's probably told you guys this story a bunch. He had been trading successfully for some time. And I forgot what happened to him. I've heard the story so many times. Now I tune out, so that's on me for not knowing the details. But something along the lines of like, he got hit by 2017. He traded really well in 2019 and 2020. He full stack hedged his position up here. And then he removed the hedge somewhere here before COVID. And he took the full brunt of COVID. And this is right after he quit his job. So he'd been working and trading alongside, and his whole heart, mind, soul was in trading. So he quit his job. He's like, I'm good enough to trade full time. And I think within like 2 weeks of him going full time, he got hit by the full fucking brunt of COVID. And then he talked a lot about like overcoming the PTSD and getting the balls to bid again and bid in size again. And then, you know, the rest is history. I think he fucking crushed the shit out of 2021. I know he hedged the top again, just like the hedge here. I think he full stack hedged the top. So it didn't sell, but it's basically delta neutral. So it's the same as selling. And then, you know, sold some. I don't remember where he sold or how he did it, but yeah, he got smacked by this. I know so many stories of people getting obliterated by the market and coming back, but those are the first two that comes to my mind. I think Super Chillin's story is the best. Crypto Messi is a good example. Smiley, I think. Mercury. Yeah, Mercury has one of those stories. Yep. I love those stories, but they make me want to do very reckless things. Here's the thing. So what do a lot of those people have in common? They learned a lot. Years and years and years and years of experience in stacking and stacking and stacking. And they make a mistake that costs them dearly. And then they know all the lessons. So instead of learning 1,000 lessons in here, they have the experience to go, actually, out of all of this, these 2 to 3 things were the best. These 3 things, 3 things, they made me the most money. And then they eliminate everything else and they hyper specialize on those 2, 3 things. And then getting from here to there is a lot faster. I found Market Money Terminal. That's wrong, I guess. No, that's the one. Marketmonkeyterminal.com is what I'm using right now. What is order book depth? 0, 1, 2, and mean? What is their significance? So, okay. This is price, right? Let's make a clean chart. Let me do it on a dark chart so I don't burn your eyeballs. This is price of any asset, right? This is the bids sitting underneath price. Intention to buy, right? Buyer saying, I'll buy if you come down here. We're going to call this 2. Make it clean, man. If I'm going to do this, might as well make it clean. This is the distance from price. Right, so this is price going up 2.5 to 5 to 10%. This is where price is. I don't think you guys need a visualization for below. Whatever, you guys get it. You guys get the idea. So order book skew or order book depth, you'll see a delta histogram on the chart. And what that delta histogram is going to do, right, this is where it's going to be flat and positive, right, and negative. So what it's telling you when it's positive, we'll call this the 2.5, right? There's going to be another one for 5, another one for 10, however you want to explain yours on your order book terminals. When the 2.5% is positive, what is that telling you? Within 2.5% of price, so 2.5% above, 2.5% below, there are more bids in the book than there are asks. So the ask is thin, the bid is thick. You have a positive skew on your 2.5% depth. Same exact logic for 5%, 10%. So we could say the 2.5% is favoring the bid. The 5% is favoring the ask. There's so many up here. The 10% is favoring the ask, right? These are thin. When does this happen? When do you see these dynamics? Usually when you're a trending market and you get pullbacks, and those pullbacks are thick because people are looking to buy the dip. And you know, the asks for 2.5% are probably up here. And since price is here, you have a thick bid on the 2.5. But since you've traveled so far directionally, a lot of orders are left behind, right? So people are not looking to buy here because broken market structure, whatever. They're like, oh, if this full thing resets, we'll buy here. But meanwhile, you're pushing higher and higher, so all of these things get stacked toward the ask. This is the alert that I set this morning for the VWAP tag. When I woke up this morning, I set this alert right here somewhere for the VWAP tag. So we're trading below the VWAP. I didn't actually take this trade. We're resetting. Could have been the local top in already. Let's see. Let's take a look at the VWAP scan. So yeah, the final place, in my opinion, you want to look for this is here. What is this? 109.4. What does that relate to? Daily value very low. I'll set an alert here. I'll probably be done with stream and then we'll check it out. What does that look like on price? That's like a perfect retest of this level, huh? Is options trading easier than leverage perps? I think for crypto traders, probably not. It's a whole different game and rule set that you have to learn for options trading. For perps trading, all it is sizing. If you guys understand that perps are just a sizing tool and not a make more money tool, trading perps becomes easier. Everyone treats perps as like I want more size on my trade. Therefore, I am longing. You know what people do? This is what people do with perps. They go, I've got $100 in my account and I am going to go 2x long because my risk is low. And if I'm feeling really risky, I'm going to go 5x long. And you know what this is doing? It's just increasing your position size. You're going from $100 position size to $200 to $500. And they're like, I'm feeling really risky. I'm going 25x. And now your position size 2,500. So you're just increasing position sizing. If you say, look, man, my standard position sizing for all of my trades is $100, regardless. I'm only going to bet $100 per trade. That's my sizing. You can get $100 by buying $100 a spot. You can get $100 by using $50 and 2xing it. You can get $100 by taking $1 and 100xing it. The leverage multiplier doesn't matter. The position sizing matters. If you treat perps like this and reframe your mindset, perps become a lot less scary. Same for me. Started trading in January 2024. Went from 3K to 7K to 600K. You went from 3K to 7K and then 7K to 600K? Insane, dude. GG's. I've never had a run like that. Fucking unreal. Needed to get my shit together real quick and discover some great CT account. Oh, it's not 600K. It's 600. Okay, that makes more sense. I got you. I just intuitively read 600K. I was like, GG, dude. Okay, 3K to 7K to $600 in 3 weeks. Need to get my shit together real quick. Discover some great CT accounts with a lot of educational content. Dude, there's a lot of people out there willing to share shit for free, man. That's the part CT doesn't get credit for. All CT gets talked about is the slop, but there's a lot of good people out there, man, sharing stuff. I know I wouldn't be the trader I am today without them. Can you explain spoofing? Spoofing is just someone, that order book thing that I told you. So imagine, screw your brain, like forget about spot. Imagine this is perps. You know what some Chad does? Price is trading down like this. Let's use this example right here. Price is trading down and he goes, yeah, I'm not going to bid 50 Bitcoin. I'm going to bid 10,000 Bitcoin on perps. I'm putting this wall here. And you know what it does? It entices people to be like, oh my God, there's so much liquidity here, right? I'm going to long and I'm going to long and I'm going to long. And what this guy is doing, he's influencing the book to go up. And as people are longing into here, he had no intention of filling this 10,000. Zero. He is spoofing the book in order to bully price up, and he is filling his asks. slowly. As everyone's longing up, he's shorting, he's shorting, he's shorting. Secretly shorting. Small sizes, right? He's getting filled, he's getting filled, he's getting filled, he's getting filled. Price comes back down, people go, oh my God, these orders are gonna save us. He does it again, does it again. Eventually, price comes down, he pulls all his bids. They're gone, zero, and price just goes straight down. It's a very sneaky way to take the opposite side of the trade. That's what spoofing is, and that's what Binance Perp's order books are. It's just all spoofing. I couldn't figure out how to use this to my advantage because, like, you know, very clearly sometimes when someone puts 1,000 Bitcoin order, you're like, yeah, that's a spoof, right? But sometimes it's like 200 and 300. They may be spoofing with smaller sizes, but people do get filled on 200 order bids and 300 order bids. So then it becomes very difficult to tell, okay, is this guy spoofing or actually intending to get filled, right? Unless you actually watch the executions go in, right? And you're watching it point by point, and you're using footprint and DOM and everything like that to see people getting filled. It's very hard to tell in the moment, right? Like how you want to position using this data. So what I've chosen to do is just be like, I can't effectively use this to my advantage at the moment. Maybe, you know, I learned that skill set at some point. So I'm just gonna ignore it. Didn't you have a similar run, something like 100x? I did a 200x my original capital this cycle. From my starting point of the money that I had day one to what I hit at the top, I've given a little bit of money back because I didn't close out the Pico top on anything. And then taxes are involved the whole way. But yeah, 200x capital return this cycle. It scales quick, right? Because you're like, you know, you get 100x and just 2xing your count makes it 200x. So it seems like that much more insane. Have you ever degen all into trade like James went before in your trading career, even where you are now? No. I've had very large position sizes on spot where a lot of my net worth was in that spot trade, but I've never degen all in. Here's my liquidation price. Fucking YOLO, send it. I've never done that. I've gone from 4 figs to 6 figs 3 times. Nelly, it's not going to happen to you again, dude. You're with us now. If I do 2.5 depth, is it 1.5 up and down or 2.5 up and down? 2.5 up and down. 2.5 depth means 2.5 up and down. Don't trade microcaps if I'm running out chopping longs alpha. Can you show me how you anchor the fixed range volume profile and how you use value area high, POC, and low? Yeah. So let's get rid of all this. Holy, how much shit did I draw? Okay. So price is in a state of balance, right? It's chopping around. Let's say we finally break from balance, right? We get a God candle through here, we start trending. When we're trending, we can use EMAs, VWAP, something to analyze the trend, right? You guys have seen me using VWAPs and EMAs for this, right? When we start getting heavy and we get a market structure break, or we start getting choppy up here and then we pull back and we set a low, right? However we define this low. I'm taking you guys through extra steps, but I'm just going to show you how I do this. Eventually, you're going to build a range. What I do is I fix my volume profile to the start of the new range. So a lot of times it's just going to look like this. Whatever. Can't draw the tool because I can't draw it anything. But the expansion down, and then we basically chop through these levels. I'm going to do it like this, right? We chop through these levels, right? This is the expansionary candle down. This is the low that we set. This is the bounce, and we continue chopping it up. I anchor my fixed range volume profiles basically to the candle down. So it looks like this. It starts developing this way. And then obviously, like, as price moves, these highs get higher, lows get lower, whatever. It adjusts with price. But once I get a couple data points and I see that expansion move down, I start anchoring in there. Usually you start seeing these ranges in choppy form on like 15 minute, and then it becomes valuable in the 30 minute, then it becomes valuable in the 1 hour, right? Anything higher than the 1 hour, I don't really like using volume profiles for. I think it's just pretty good for 1 hour. There's high time frame comps where you can do it on the daily and stuff. You guys seen plenty of that on my screen. But when it comes to how I draw them, that's how I do it. How do I trade them? Like this. Don't I have this on here already? No. So here's your example, right? Trending move up. Structure breaks. We start rotating back in a monthly VWAP. You guys remember me talking about this. Again, free shills and free shout outs for the cookbook and the outlooks. This is what I talked to you guys about, you know, for the outlooks and the cookbooks and everything. We rotate it back in. We start chopping it up. I draw a volume profile, right? It's going to keep adjusting, right? I'm still using the other levels that I have in mind, which is the monthly VWAP, monthly value area high. Monthly value area high is rejection. We drop back into value, right? If I'm looking for an expansionary trade outside and I'm saying, hey, look, we're just trending. We're just trending. We're just trending. We're just trending. I'm saying don't drop back in, right? That's my invalidation for the trending move. Just don't drop back into value, right? Failed breakout, high expansionary candle, just don't drop back in. You drop back in, it's probably going to rotate to the other side. Pretty strong rotation, right? The difference is when you get these expansionary moves outside and you defend the pullback, that's when I call it acceptance, and we're going to get a trending move. That's when fresh trending moves start, right? So something like this, right? We had another volume profile here, right? We expanded, eventually we start chopping around. You drop the volume profile on here. You say, okay, if we're going to get expansion outside, we need to hold the expansionary move, right? We don't want to retest. We don't want to drop back in. We want to hold the expansion. You drop back in, you're going to rotate to the other side, right? You can ping pong around. You can take trades around this if you need to. Again, you get an expansionary candle. You don't want to trade back inside. You want to hold the expansion. What happens here? I did not bite on this one. We eventually dropped, we eventually pulled back to the same level. I'm like, okay, this doesn't look that strong. The flows are against us. The asks are against us. We're not getting any bid strength. All we're getting are perp longs. It's probably going to flush. This is where I hedge out. What's the move that we get afterwards, right? You do the same thing over here, right? We bounced. We're building value. Drop a volume profile tool. We get an expansionary move. We don't drop back in. That becomes a trending move. I don't use the POC. I use the value area high, value area low. I know some people trade off the POC. I look at the POC as just like mid-range. 99% of the time, the POC of a fixed range volume profile is going to be somewhere in the middle. Yeah, it's not going to be 50% exactly all the time. Sometimes it's going to be higher, sometimes it's going to be lower, but I don't find any edge trading around that. Third time I said enough is enough, managed to grab onto it and continue growth. That's nice, man. I've seen your growth, dude. It's a pleasure to watch. I think, talk to you guys about this in Paragon. Sometimes I wonder, is it worth my time? Like, would I be better off just dedicating 100% of the time to my trading? And to be honest, I think the answer is yes. I would be better off, like, no ifs, ands, or buts around it. If I focused all my time into that and didn't do anything in Paragon or anything else, didn't stream publicly, didn't do any outlooks, and just focus on this, I would probably improve better, faster. The one redeeming quality of doing stuff like this is you get to see people changing their lives, man. You get to see people changing how they trade, getting educated, putting in risk parameters in, building a system, developing a strategy, executing on their strategy, asking good questions, developing into free thinkers, making their own setups, taking their own trades, and changing their lives, which is pretty fucking cool, man. I'm not going to lie. Do you think you're skilled enough to run up 1,000 to 100K in less than 2 months? Today, yes. And to be honest, like, those kind of run up things are goals for me. The thing is, I'll talk to you about a personal weakness for me. Personal weakness for me is continuing to scale size alongside. So what a $1,000 to $100,000 challenge entails is that your first trade, you're going to be using a lot of that capital because your goal is to get off the starting line, right? So you're going to take a $1,000 trade and you're going to move up, right? You may, lever it up to 1 Bitcoin, right? And you say, I got a $1,000, 1% Bitcoin invalidation. I'll probably be trading the 1 minute, right? I'll scale it up. I'll hit a trade, maybe a $2,000 move, 1,000 to 3,000. As you're doing this, you have two options. Option A, continue sticking with the exact same sizing and take your time and go on a run of like, I'm going to win a lot of fucking trades and I'm not going to take any L's. My L's are going to be small and I'm going to scale, and keep going, right? The other option is, I got more capital, let me risk more. I got more capital, let me risk more. I got more capital, let me risk more. I am not good at the second part. Like straight up. It's a mental block more than anything else. Not a skill. It's like it's a mental skill issue, if anything, right? And that's been a consistent goal for me, is like, I've made a lot more capital. Let me continue scaling that capital. And I get to a point every time with my trading where the sizing starts affecting my trading. I think more about it. I doubt myself more. I get more nervous at entries. All these things happen. The execution gets worse. The trade selection gets worse, right? All these things start to happen. I scratch myself up at entries a little bit. So the answer to your question is yes and no. If I take the former approach, yes. If I take the latter approach, no. Two months is a long time. I also want to be more open about like money I have and sizing and stuff like that, because like I think the only downside, I mean, you become a target, right? You start telling people you got money, you become a target online. There's a bunch of weirdos online, right? So like that's a big downside. The positive side is just more transparency, right? It's like, who cares? It's money. We all have, some people have less money, some people have more money. I've had a lot less, now I have more. It's like, I don't know. I guess there's pros and cons to it. I do want to start sharing more sizing stuff, like actually what I'm doing and stuff like that. I think I started sharing some of that stuff in Paragon with the homies. They see how much money I'm making nowadays more than they ever did. Caught the public stream. Good morning, bro. Some people say they're learning things deeper when they teach. Is that case for you? That is 100% the case for me for multiple years. And now I think it's kind of flipped, if that makes sense. I think I would attribute a lot of my growth to the fact that during these moments, from where did I open up, or when did I start talking to people online? I think it was like right in here. This is like kind of when I started developing an online community and building friends online and stuff. And during this process of big growth, like I wasn't profitable here, right? I was a break-even trader. But I would share everything in the Discord. I would talk about everything. Why am I taking this trade? What is my invalidation? What is the thesis behind this trade? What is FOMC doing? What is this and that and the other thing, right? Do I think Bitcoin's bottomed, right? I would just share everything openly. I was wrong a lot, obviously. But when you put stuff out there and you like tweet, I'm doing this, it forces you to face it, right? You can't run from it. But if you're like trading by yourself and you don't have like a record of how you're doing, your brain, because of the way you're wired, you have an ego that's supposed to defend you. You don't want to feel bad. That's just programming, right? We all have these defense mechanisms. So every defense mechanism that we have, whether it's humor, denial, rationalization, suppression, all these things are detriments when it comes to trading. You have to be fully open and reflective of every move you're making. So I think me doing everything publicly and learning publicly and teaching publicly and everything, yes, it did help me hammer home a lot of the concepts. It helped me face what is working well and what is not working well. Couldn't shy away from anything. And yeah, it was a big part of my growth, 100%. But now, like someone in chat asked me, what is order book depth and what is a fixed range volume profile? Do you think that's helping me at this point? It's not, right? So it's kind of flipped. We've tipped the scales in the opposite direction now. For sure, your own growth would be better focus on yourself, but no doubt that your time is well spent because you and Mags have totally changed my life for the better. Super appreciate you. I appreciate that, Nelly. I love to hear that kind of stuff, man. Yeah, I mean, hanging around the biggest benefit for me in Paragon, hands down, has been firsthand developing a relationship with Magus and just little tidbits of experience that come out, right? And learning from his experiences and learning from things that he's saying. I'm a very like do first, learn second kind of person. I do stuff, I make mistakes, and then I learn from them. And it's taken me a while to actually admit to be like, he knows more than me, he's got more experience than me. I need to listen to him the first time or the second time he says something instead of, whatever. Like, brute forcing something and learning the lesson. So a lot of stuff he says to me, I've had so many moments with him and be like, yeah, you said this to me like 6 months ago. I just started listening to you, right? And now we have a joke where he says something and he's like, bro, you're gonna come back to me in 6 months. And I'm like, no, I'm listening. I hear you, bro. I hear you. Like right now he's been on my ass about like getting better tax planning. He's been really on my ass about that, and I have been slacking, so fuck, he's gonna be right about that shit too. Does the H4 trend tag mean anything in this context? I think that's the essence of your question. I don't think so. Oftentimes when you break a trend, there are some optimistic approaches. Like you break a downtrend and you're like, I got another trend here, and you get a gap fill. Those work out sometimes, for sure. But oftentimes, like, how do I want to draw this? You got a downtrend, you make a big move like this, you really want to try to establish some value and have the trend come up, rather than going down to meet the trend. If you're going to go down to meet the trend, it needs to happen a little bit earlier, I think, right? Like it needs to go like this and then go, versus go up a lot and then come all the way back down to the trend. I think for now, you're better off just saying, okay, look, what does trend break mean? Trend break means range. We've got the trend break. Number 1 is range. Number 2 is reversal. Number 3 is reclaim continuation. So if we use that context here on Bitcoin, what does that look like? Yeah, so this is what you're saying, right? We had a big 4-hour kind of uptrend, big 4-hour downtrend, and now we're coming back and kind of retesting this. My ABCs of trend loss always is like, number 1, range. Number 2, reversal, right? So in this context, since we're breaking a downtrend, it would be fresh, brand new, holding this as an uptrend, right? So number 2 in this context would be uptrend. And number 3 is going to be reclaim and continuation, which would be down, right? So number 3 would be basically, this was a deviation and we're going to come back down and we're going to hold the trend again and we're going to continue this 4-hour downtrend. I think in this context, the number 1 thing to say is range rather than fresh uptrend. I think that is going to be the highest EV to bet on. Can you do alt charts? I really don't want to today, man. We're already 2 hours into the stream. I said at the top of the stream, I was like, today's stream is probably not going to be alts. You say perps are a scaling tool, but Casino wants you to max long. Facts. They do. H4 to daily gap trend onto it looks cooked now. Yeah, I had that idea earlier. I posted this yesterday. Again, what you want to see in this environment is not really this. You really want this to like push, develop some value, and continue pushing. Right? A lot of times these gap fills don't even give you the chance to like re-enter. It just fucking sends. The unfortunate thing is, so like when you look at a trade like this, how do you decide if you're gonna take this or not? Everything revolves around BTC. So you say, okay, pump is giving me a bullish trigger, right? Bitcoin is also breaking the 4-hour downtrend, pushing up. Bitcoin's pushing up. I think the maximum, the highest, or where I think that like Bitcoin can move to is probably like 112, 113, 114. You have this mental plan of like, that is where maximally I think like if I really want to push risk, that's where I want to do it. The next thing you do is you look at, what is the trend that's carrying us? For me, it's like, okay, we opened up a new week. We pushed outside of value. At the best right now, we need to hold the daily VWAP, right? We need to round off here. That's going to give me the opportunity to go again. So you kind of weigh the pros and cons of like, if I'm going to take this Bitcoin trade, how does pump look? And you want during this environment where Bitcoin is strong, this is the environment where pump can do things. But if Bitcoin is strong and pump during that moment says, I'm good. It's like the door is open for you, right? The door is open for pump. It's wide open. Go ahead, walk through it. Keep going. But if pump doesn't do it when the door is open and the door starts closing, that's that's the moment we're like, I don't know, right? And you could have seen this play out day by day or hour by hour, 4 hour by 4 hour, right? And you're just like, the door's open, fucking gun it, let's go. This is another environment. Where's this push happening? 4 o'clock in the morning, right? What's Bitcoin doing at 4 o'clock in the morning? It's hitting this high right here, right? So what you would say is like, okay, Bitcoin is all gas, no brakes, it's pumping. This is the right environment where if pump is going to make this move, it's going to continue from here. When you start seeing, hey, it's dramatically selling off and getting distributive and rounding off, and as it's retracing to the VWAP, it's not getting the pumps, that's where you see that hidden weakness start to play out. Dude, chill house though. I think that's it for me. Quick shout out to the stream sponsors, BonkBot and Coinbase Advanced. So with BonkBot, yeah, I know we've been teasing you guys for a while on the trading comp that Charlie and I want to do. I don't know where that stands. I did DM him. Let me check my DMs and see if he responded. Oh, he said he doesn't know. All right, let me just say, we should duo stream soon. Okay, so I'm gonna set up a duo stream with Charlie soon. But yeah, I mean, all my executions, you guys have seen that I'm like taking more and more on-chain trades. Basically, for me, this is like training grounds. It's like one of my biggest regrets from this cycle was ignoring it completely. And it's that skill character point, you know, selection thing that I talked to you guys about. It's like I try to hyper focus on what I'm good at and try to ignore everything else. But man, did I leave some money on the table by not being in the trenches this cycle. Therefore, I'm using this as an opportunity to get familiar, get acquainted, develop some skills, learn some edge in trading on chain so I can be prepared the next time those things are around, right? I can be like, instead of learning everything in the moment when the market's hot, I'd be like, I developed some skill, I have some education, I learned a couple of these things, so I'm just not lost in the woods the next time we get like an on-chain season. The best thing that I did recently was like bridge over to XPL, and a lot of that again is like by trading on BonkBot, by trading on telemetry, is like picking up some skills. So like when I went over and bridged over to XPL and traded that Trillions shitcoin day one, I was comfy, I was ready, I was good. I was like, I have some kind of inclination of how low caps are trading. I bought a low cap this weekend. Well, I don't know if I want to shill it yet. It's still like sub 10 mil. So maybe I'll save it for next stream. But yeah, I mean, that's the shit. And then I've been informed. Okay, listen, John, if you're listening, I'm leaking it, and just don't hate me. All right, don't fucking kill me. They said more market makers are coming to Coinbase Advanced this month. So once they get logged in and set up and everything, and we got deeper books, I will start trading on Coinbase Advanced, because I've talked to you guys for a long time. This is not even like, I would do this regardless, whether or not they're stream sponsoring. As an American citizen, I want shit on the books, man. The less steps I have to do my taxes, the better. The more stuff that I can do in a regulated fashion, the better. The regulation is kicking up like crazy in America, and I am not trying to do anything that's going to get me in trouble by the IRS or the government or like anything like that. So if I can move all my trade volume onshore to a US regulated exchange, bro, I am doing it. But yeah, shout out to the sponsors. Listen, man, if you guys ever want to do me a favor and check out those services, they're in the link in the description box below. A lot of the times, like, you know, them sponsoring the streams is why I come on here. That's why I get to answer every question. That's why I look at everything and give you guys as much education as you guys ask for, right? You want to ask and learn about something, I'm here. Open book, encyclopedia, like whatever you want to learn about, I'm here to teach. To the best of my ability, of course, right? There's things that I don't know that I'm not going to try to chill you on and teach you on. If I don't know something, I'll be the first one to tell you fucking I don't know. But yeah, man, they make it happen. So shout out to them. And if you guys want to support me, that's what you do. And last things last is, or last but not least is the way I should say it. Cookbook should be out soon. So look for that. And if there's problems with the emails, listen, man, just DM me or tell me in chat, and we'll try to get it sorted. But I appreciate you all. Thank you all for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next week.